What is up, my dashing dudes? I am the Hans TV, and today we're gonna find out just how entitled some parents can be, because we're diving right back into r/entitled-parents. Our first post for the day comes from Maid Boxer. EP blocks a wheelchair accessible curb with her car, gets an attitude when called out. I am in a wheelchair. My daughter helps me get around so that I can shop like I used to. However, she had an injury to her foot and has trouble walking as well. Last Saturday, we went to a dollar store in a shopping center. We parked in the handicap spot nearest the store, which had the wheelchair lowered curb for easy access. This is also a no parking zone. When we came out, there was a car totally blocking the wheelchair access. There was no other access nearby, as our car was right across the street from this access. No one was in the car, and it was clearly by a no parking sign. After 20 minutes, a woman, EP, and her kid come out of the store and head for the car. I ask, does she realize that she was blocking a wheelchair access? EP gruffly says, "So what? How was I to know?" Me, how about all the signs telling you? EP, "Sorry, get over it." And with that, she practically throws her kid in the car, not checking if he's seatbelted, and drives off. Where are the cops if you need them? Edit. We looked all over for any cops in the area, but there was a fair going on and none were at all nearby. We didn't feel it was important to call 911. God, I hate people like that. Hey, let's just block the wheelchair curb. Oh yeah, you're an asshole. Our next post comes to us courtesy of Profanity Please. EM tried her hardest to get a relationship with my dad. Goes terribly wrong for her life. Eternally. This happened when my parents were in their mid-20s. They're already in the 50s range. This story was told from my mother. Gonna cut some sentences. Cast mom, EP, dad, one, their first child, and NFM, nearby family member. Let's begin. So, my parents were like around their mid-20s, very young. Having their first child meant work for my dad. That's what he did. He went to work. Now here's the story of my dad's history. Before they had their first child, there was this woman, EM, who wanted to go out with my dad. My dad said, "No, I'm a married man. Sorry, I came here to party with friends." After the party, EM follows my dad. He didn't care at that time. When my dad found out she was following him, he told her to F off. Go home, you're drunk. EM didn't budge. My dad went easy as she meant him no harm at the moment. After that party, my dad told my mom that he met this crazy lady. She tried to date me and later followed me. Keep aware about this lady. Moving on, EM found out where my parents lived. She was hiding beneath somewhere, saw my parents kissed, and that made her mad. My parents heard something and saw someone. My dad's first instinct was that lady from the bar. Yes, he described the woman to my mother. And now to the first paragraph. As my dad left to work, my mom is now in charge of the house. She was mopping in the kitchen area and decided to go mop the dinner area. And that's where she slipped on oil. My mother was pregnant at the time she slipped. One came in crying after my mom, and a NFM came to the scene and called for an ambulance. Someone came out from the front door, and NFM chases the person, which the anonymous ran away. NFM described everything to my mom, and everything shattered. She told NFM that it was EM, the one that wanted to go out with my dad. Ambulance came and checked if everything was okay. She came out well, but when she heard the news about the newborn, she was crying. The newborn was pronounced dead. My dad rushed to the hospital and heard the news. He was pissed. Very pissed. He called police to track the woman, but they never found her. My dad unleashed hell over himself because he felt it was his fault for going to a party with his friends. Years after, EM comes back when my dad was relaxing with his two children. EM introduces herself to my dad. My dad comes with a nice response, but when EM told him, "Don't you remember me?" my dad's world went from heaven to hell. He worked for the military at this time. He screamed and yelled hell, putting EM to the ground. One called the cops. EM had a child that she never mentioned. The child was innocent and scared, later being held in custody for a better family. EM was jailed for a young murder, an attempt to kill my mom, and trespassing on property. EM tried her hardest to bail out, pulling the innocent card. We had fingerprint evidence. Obviously, you know who won the case. Years passed, EM was free from jail, but her life is now ruined, with no home to stay, no food, water, or clothes. First thing was to come to my parents' house, which was a mistake as my dad held his rifle at front of EM. He told everything to her, telling her, You already did a lot of damage to my family, and now I've already damaged your life forever. Your kid is no longer with you. You have nowhere to stay. Get lost or get shot down. EM left, years passed. My mother told me the rest of the story. EM is now homeless, begging for money on the streets, and striving on the streets. Everyone in my family says EM, that one beautiful, rich, a chance to go out with, now being that one entitled B who tried to go out with my dad, and did the unexpected later being homeless, to this day and time. I hope you guys don't ever experience this type of entitlement to any of y'all, to the point of murdering a future family member. My dad, to this day, still feels like he's the one to blame, and my mom now has a hole in her heart. My one brother still hates he didn't do anything, and NFM feels terribly bad about this accident. Thank you for reading this. Did I have a stroke while reading this? What the hell did I just read? No offense, OP, but please learn how to use punctuation and grammar. Good lord, I'm dumbfounded. I don't know what to say. Our next post comes from Night 1967. My ex felt entitled to our daughter. False allegations galore. Ends extremely poorly. For her. When my ex and I got together, she had a very small business. I offered to help her expand it, an offer she jumped on, of course, as I could see it was a good opportunity for our new family, and I'm good at that type of thing. The more I worked and grew on our company, the less she worked and the more she spent. Travel, restaurants, gifts, nanny/housekeeper, etc. It was pathetic. Staying in bed until noon, up late on social media, drama. The nanny took care of the house and kids. The business was bringing in $75,000 per month. Was about $10,000 per month before I started helping out. She's now averaging only 3 days of work per month. Obviously, I addressed the situation with her several times, and then she's calling me an abusive SOB. For the record, I was always very kind and supportive of her and her family, never abusive at all in any fashion. And in hindsight, she was actually very abusive to me, verbally, psychologically, and physically. But I was a real man. I can take it. She's not like this all the time. Blah, blah, frickin' blah. Then, she cuts me out of the now very successful business, takes over, and claims a monkey can do what I did. Soon after this, she files police reports, falsely accusing me of abusing her older daughter. Police and CFS are involved because of the very serious nature of the false allegations. I have to move out. It takes a year before I can see my daughter again. Court, police, and CFS are satisfied the allegations are false. I'm allowed to access. Another false allegation is made, and another, and another, and another. CFS and police investigations ensue, all false. I opened up my home and entire life to them. I had done nothing wrong. I had nothing to hide. They were allowed access to anything they wanted, anytime they wanted. Unannounced was fine too. I drove the investigation forward. They start looking at her now. Emotional abuse of the kids. I think what helped me a lot was when they asked me to take a lie detector test, and I agreed to on the condition that she had to as well. She refused and they never asked again. Suddenly, she wants to talk about getting back together. I've been hearing that our business has suffered horribly since she took over, and she's been blacklisted from many customers. It failed, and she'd like to work for me. My reply was not what she wanted to hear. Fuck you. Allegations continue, all false, and CFS realizes it. CFS seizes the kids from her. Now my daughter is with me, full time. Mother can't see her without CFS supervision. Court-imposed psych assessment reveals she has a nasty psychological disorder. Must get years of treatment. Oh well, too bad, so sad. I'm one of the few guys out there that gets awarded child support. But she's on welfare now in an effort to avoid paying support. Obviously, that's in the best interest of the child. Quite the difference in lifestyle, I suspect. There's more, a lot more. Even worse for her. But I can't say without identifying people involved. And justice has been served. I applaud you, OP, for sticking out as long as you did. You really, really make me proud, man. Our final post for the day comes from Blue Ellen. My parents are/were entitled parents. I grew up with entitled parents, but not in the way you think. My parents thought the world owed them money. They truly believed they should get money from the government just for existing. Well, when that didn't work, they had kids to get a check from the government. Their whole plan was for their children to live with them and collect money from the government. When each of the kids were 18, they were expected to get a job and give all of the money to my parents, so that my parents never had to work. And if you think they worked around the house, you would be wrong. The kids were expected to do that as well. Thankfully, their own plan came to a halt when all their kids were taken away for abuse and neglect. They never tried to get their kids back, but just had one after the other. I haven't spoken with my parents since I was like 13 or 14, and when I was 20, I moved over to my grandparents' house, and suddenly my mom wanted a relationship with me. You see, she wanted me to move several states away to be with her. Her plan was for me to move into her house, pay her rent, cook her meals, buy her food, and clean her house. She seriously thought that she was entitled to my whole life because I don't even know. My Nana shut that down fast though. I have a lot more entitled parent stories though. Well, alright my dashing dudes, that's enough infuriating entitlement for today. So that's gonna do it for today's episode of r/entitled parents. If you like the stories, as always, I'll leave them down in the description below. And if you like the video, feel free to subscribe, drop a like, and leave a comment down below with what you'd like me to read next. A humongous thank you to Connor, and I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Rafaela, for being my 2 patrons so far. I hope y'all understand how much y'all are really helping me with this. And to everyone who's subscribed in the past few months, thank you so much for supporting my channel, even with that little hiatus that I had to take. I'm truly sorry about that, and I'm gonna try not to have to take those again. But with that being said, I will see you in the next video.